Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, and today I'm bringing you a review on the new TV series Pam and Tommy, which is premiering next Wednesday on Disney Plus over here in the UK and on Hulu in America. And safe to say, I think one of the more anticipated miniseries for this year. And I'm going to bring you my completely, I say spoiler-free thoughts. Obviously, it's based off real life, but I'm not going to give anything away because I know there's a lot that people have heard or read about online already, which is definitely going to be something people talk about when they do see episode 2, certainly. But I want to hear your thoughts for people at home. Is this a show you're looking forward to? Is this a show you're not? If you have seen it, comment your thoughts on it. Disney, I will say, have sent the whole series over, so I have been able to see the whole thing. Not like some shows where you get a couple of episodes and then nothing till the end. So if you have seen it as well, or you're watching in the future, please do comment them below and do hit that subscribe button. We kind of mentioned a few weeks ago we've got a lot of TV coming away this year, and this one was more of a surprise to get. So it was really good fun being able to watch this. I'm going to add, and as always, if you are new to the channel, we mainly do cover film stuff. We've got a lot of TV reviews. We've got Boba Fett reviews happening every single Wednesday, and we'll move on. I think by the time the show finishes, I don't know if Kenobi will be out yet, but Moonlight will probably be out. So this is going to be one to watch. Stick with it if you like TV stuff. And as well, if you do like films, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more stuff coming on the way as we do start building up towards the next big film, which is, I think, Batman in a few weeks. But there's a few films before then this Oscar season. So please do that. Get us on social media, Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinema_savvy. And we have a link to TeePublic in that description below. As I said, I'm here to talk about Pam and Tommy as spoiler free as I can. If you don't know the story, if you haven't seen the trailers, the photos, this is of course covering the marriage of Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee, and obviously covers the famous sex tape that was stolen / released in the mid-90s before I was born, actually, which is really interesting. I'm actually going to get into some of the internet type stuff later on, but this is a series which, even before I talk about what I thought of it, when this series was announced, it was a very weird announcement. If I'm being blunt, it was a very weird concept to have. How can you make a TV show out of this? Some people would have thought film format, which would have been even weirder. I think you had Courtney Love come out and criticize it, given that she's, I think, quite close friend to Pam Anderson, and also the whole concept behind it. How can you make a whole show about this sort of tape that leaked in the 90s? And truth be told, they found a way. They did it very well. I think I don't want to say with taste. This show is one of the most outrageous shows I've ever seen in my life. I know I don't watch TV as much as I watch film, but there are things that take place in this show which is unimaginable. Primarily in episode 2, so you'll be able to see it when it does start airing. You may have seen casting announcements for a certain body part from a character and things like that, but it is safe to say this show is outrageous in the rise. However, I felt compelled by the show. I think it tells not a simple story. It's a lot more complex than it needs to be. It's not just covering what happened at the sex tape. There's a lot going on. I spoke about the internet, the dawn, people discovering the World Wide Web back in the, was it 94? Most this is set in some 95 moments. And, it's not a common thing in the internet, whereas today, but this is getting uploaded on the internet for everybody to see at home. You had VHSs that were being sold via the internet. It's not like eBay. It was nothing like that. People had to specifically go online in a time, and not everyone could go online to get a copy of this. And I actually want to say, probably about the coolest story, that getting the throwback. As I said, I wasn't born then, but sort of growing up, I think in my age group, you didn't have mobile phones, you didn't have computers at home. We know the internet, your dial up. We put kind of the last generation to not have all this stuff with us, and it felt very nostalgic to me, even though it predates me personally. But if you remember the origin of computers and are watching this that is similar ages, you'll understand how all that stuff developed as the years did go by. And there's something I want to talk about, because that whole dynamic was a really cool part of the show. However, obviously, sort of getting back to the meat of it, you can't talk about this about the performances. Obviously, when they cast Lily James, everyone thought, "Oh my word, why is Lily James playing Pam Anderson?" And she doesn't look like her, and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, those photos that came out last year of them on set filming for the first time, it looked absolutely incredible. Sebastian Stan as well playing Tommy Lee. These two stole it for me. Now, I know that Sebastian Stan's in a film that's just premiered at Sundance, which they're raving about. But before I talk about Lily James, who I think is the standout of the show, Sebastian Stan almost steals this. He is absolutely superb. It's arranged him we've not been able to see as much recently. And as someone that sort of confessed on this channel so much I don't know anything about music, seeing him play someone like Tom Lee that's so out of character from what I've seen of him was a really cool thing, that he wasn't just this unhinged person. That I felt like he became somebody different. I wasn't just looking at Bucky, and I know people are going to moan that there's a Marvel comparison there, but with the Marvel characters now, with the cast of however many years and films they've been doing this for, it's really hard now to look past what they have done in the past. And this is one of those times where I've really felt with Sebastian Stan that he was absolutely phenomenal to watch. And it was just nice to see a different side to him. He's not this perfect character that's, saving the day, any of that. Tommy Lee is presented as, well, not just like a psycho in this, but not a very nice person. And when you've got Lily James playing Pamela Anderson as well, the makeup firstly is superb for her to look like her, but she's not caked in so much makeup where you lose the fact it's still Lily James. You can still see Lily James in there, but what they're able to do is put enough makeup on so she does look like Pamela Anderson, but she's also able to act through the prosthetics. And I think that is an absolute credit to the series itself, that we get to see her act. And I know what some people might think, is it wrong to have done a series on what happened in the 90s? The issues, the legal stuff that went on for years that followed, that still gets brought up today. And it's a really interesting question that, I can say I enjoyed this show, but can I answer the question, should this show have been made? I actually don't know. Because I've got a very different position to some people. Firstly, obviously, I'm a guy as well, so that'll be very different. Obviously, with something so personal to Pamela Anderson as all those years ago, it's pretty hard for anyone to have another opinion on that. But this show isn't just glorifying what happened in the 90s, isn't talking about what happened. This goes into all that kind of stuff. I don't want to say it goes into stuff like feminism, it doesn't really, but it is very much showing the negative side of this. This ruined somebody's life. This is something that was stolen. It wasn't just released for people to see. It wasn't, somewhere that Tommy Lee just put it online. No, somebody took a safe, stole it from a mansion, and put this online without knowing that tape would be in there. And I think that's what I found really good about this series, is that as someone that doesn't know the backstory of it all, learning about it was absolutely insane. And the tone with this series, it isn't an outright comedy either. I said it's bonkers. Now, Craig Gillespie, who's directed some of these episodes, who I think is the showrunner, he, of course, is doing Cruella, which came out last year. He has done I, Tonya. So if you have seen this films, you might understand where he's coming from, that he takes the sort of protagonist type. They're not a perfect person. They might be a bit unhinged. They might have trauma, other things going on, but he's able to make a really, really good film out of them. And I think he's done that with this series. And it's interesting seeing this as a mini series, because I don't think this could have worked for a 2-hour film. I don't think the concept of film works, but we're moving into this era now with mini series where these shows can be longer. You can do more, you can explore more themes, you can explore more characters. And the character I didn't expect to get explored as much was the character of Rand, played by Seth Rogen. He is the person that stole the sex tape in the first place, and is unbelievable seeing what he went through. And going back to the direction of it all, just even the framing of the episodes. You might get an episode which is one character's perspective, you might get an episode where it's two characters' perspective, or you might get something in the future where it's locked in one room for 30 minutes for an episode. And it's really interesting seeing the TV format for this, because how can you sit there and say, oh, the guy that sold that sex tape is a great person? You absolutely can't. But then what they're able to do in that first hour, you're able to see why he proceeded to sell it and why he wanted to release it. Whether you agree with it or not is obviously a completely different conversation, but in the context of the story that they're telling, they obviously do play up that angle for Seth Rogen's character, and he is a loser, and that is something that you will get at the end of it. But I think Seth Rogen does very well with this, and I don't think it's as two-dimensional a character as you think. And a lot of this, if you do know the real life stuff, you obviously know what led to those moments of doing it. But what this show really does is reinforce Pam Anderson as the victim of everything that happened. And I think that is one of the more important things. This isn't glorifying the sex. This isn't glorifying Tommy Lee. It's not glorifying Rand or even Pam Anderson herself. This is really going through the turmoils of something that personal being available to the mass public, something that they never had any right to see. So it's a really fascinating concept when you have that mixed with, as I said, all that 90s IT stuff, and you're seeing how the internet boomed. And so we're really getting into Seth Rogen on Hot Wings, where he spoke about that, this was the first viral video. And is this if this hadn't have come out back then, would we have ended up getting the sort of internet we have today? Obviously, we probably would have at some point, but did this fast track certain people using it or spreading the words more? This was the very first viral video, especially from a celebrity standpoint. And that's one of the big questions I've had about this series. I do think this series is relevant. I think it's a very tough thing to do, but in absolute all, I think they got it right just. And there's a very fine line to get something that's right. If you get it wrong, it won't only be distasteful, it will be completely abysmal. It will look insulting, and it just look like a weird, creepy fetish cash grab. But it doesn't. It's really striking a chord after the 8 episodes is aired that you get a sense of these characters, what they've been through, what they're trying to go through, the careers they're trying to make, and how this has ramifications everywhere. And it's just really fascinating TV. And I didn't expect to be as engrossed in it as I was. As I said, I'm very fortunate that I had the whole series up front. I'm going to say this, that only the first 3 episodes will be available next Wednesday when it does go up. And episode 2 has one of the most insane things I've ever seen in any format, TV, film, whatever. And that might put a lot of people off because I sat there thinking, what the hell is going on here? Um, and I stuck through with it. I carried on with it, and I think it does benefit itself. So when these episodes do go up, I thoroughly recommend you to have a watch of them. Again, if you're a fan of Seth Rogen, it's not going to be a hard sell. It's Seth Rogen being great as he always is. But I said Lily James to me is the best thing in this, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are Emmys for this, if they want to put her and Sebastian Stan performances forward, because these two are superb. They have a great chemistry with one another. I think they spoke behind the scenes saying that they're actually on set so much, not in method acting, but because they were in character so much, they never got a chance to meet each other properly outside of being Tom and Pammy. And it's kind of where I stand of it, that if these two performances are going to work for you, you're going to absolutely enjoy the series. And obviously, any fans of the Motley Crue music, you might be watching this, the Tom and Lee side of things. Baywatch fans, if there are any left, you might be watching this to the Pam Anderson side of things. So it's really interesting seeing all these people coming together to make the series. But overall, I do recommend this. But as it is going to be a tough watch at certain moments, but if you're on board with the tone, if you're on board with the characters, I think you'll have enough to get you through to the end. And it is, I can't say, it's a highlight of the year. It is the end of January at the time of recording. So this is going to be a show where I'm very, very, very intrigued to see what people think. Fans, non-fans, critics, all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to vary from person to person. This might be the potential to have this absolute shitstorm of abuse coming their way, saying, why has this series been made? I'm really excited to see what people think. So I'm going to leave that for the review for this. As I said, it's a very difficult thing to talk about, knowing it is based off real life, but also you can't give too much away. So I want to hear from you guys. If you have seen it again, please comment your thoughts. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? Do they cross that fine line? Because it's a very, very fine line, and it's something tricky for them to do. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. Please hit that subscribe button. We are working towards some goals. We've got a lot more TV stuff on the way. Later on tonight, Book of Boba Fett episode 5 is going to be up. We'll have more Boba Fett discussions. We've got film reviews coming. We've got Moonfall, Jackass next week. There are so many things happening. We're excited to get you on board. New shows, new series, everything. So please do hit the subscribe button. If you do enjoy this video, why not share it with your friends? Anyone that you might think might be interested, please share this. And if you don't follow us, it's the best way to find out what videos are coming up and when they do. That's Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. And we have a link to TeePublic in that description below. And once again, I want to thank everyone for watching this video, for keeping up to date with us, and be sure to see you on the next one. Take care.